Altano's here,
Hello,
though.
Jamie. How are you?
I know to you I may look old. Hope this statement ain't too bold, but here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. Here comes the
Yeah. Do you think they know that it was Hamilton's idea, this electoral college? I don't think they do.
No, they probably don't. But it was also Hamilton's idea that we have the Federal Reserve and debt and a bank that would let unelected bureaucrats control the value of our cash. I'm not a fan. In those Hamilton and Jefferson wars, I was around in those days, I was decidedly with Jefferson.
Well, it's interesting, Judge. Well, this is perfect because I've often positioned the face-off between Hamilton and Madison, but you might as well also include Hamilton Jefferson there because because Hamilton's view, unfortunately, has constantly been reinvigorated by court decisions. I don't know why, but they seemingly don't take Madison's view. They take Hamilton's view of the general welfare.
Yes, the Madisonian, Jeffersonian, small government attitude that the Constitution can only do, that the federal government can only do what the Constitution authorizes. It was pretty much, if you could in a nutshell, the Civil War era being the exception because people were trying to kill each other, pretty much the rule. Woodrow Wilson turned it on his head. Instead of saying the Congress can only do what the Constitution authorizes, he argued, and the courts agreed, the Congress can do whatever it wants except that which is expressly prohibited by the Constitution. But back to Hamilton and Jefferson, to try and find common ground here. They did agree on one thing, and that was when the public learns that the public treasury has become a public trough, they will only send to Washington people who will promise to give them the most. That's exactly what we have today.
Right.
You run for Congress and say, I'm not going to bring you bennies from Washington. You're going to lose because everybody wants as much as they can get, and it's done by debt, which means future generations pay for it.
Boy, nicely put.
I don't know if that's what you want to talk about.
Well,
it's what comes to mind when I hear Hamilton.
Well, it's like when I talk to my 12-year-old son, and again, as I point out, we listen to the soundtrack. He likes it. We play it, whatever. But I tell him...
the music is fantastic.
Yeah, but I tell him that they would never have made a Broadway play about Madison. I'm just saying.
Little Jimmy, all 4 feet 8 of him, was kind of dull.
Yeah.
But he was brilliant. If you read his notes, which of course weren't published until after he died, his notes on the Constitution, it's just a valuable treasure trove. For example, here's something that's going to happen Friday. You, Donald J. Trump, solemnly swear that you will faithfully uphold the office of President of the United States. Madison wrote the oath, and he argued with his colleagues about whether the word faithfully should be in there. And his argument was the word faithfully needs to be in there to remind the president that he must enforce laws with which he disagrees. If he wants to write the laws, he should go into the Congress. If he wants to enforce the laws, he has to enforce all of them. That's the reason for the word faithfully.
Interesting.
There's a little bit of trivia for you that will be highly relevant at noon this Friday.
No doubt about it. It'll be great if we can get around the sounds of the whoopee cushions that the protesters are plotting to put on all the chairs.
These members of Congress are just going to isolate themselves. You can deny reality, but you cannot escape the consequences of denying reality because they're just going to wake up on Saturday morning and he's going to be the president and have all the awesome power that the Constitution gives him, plus what Congress has added to it. And their denying it is just going to isolate them politically, legally, and constitutionally. What are they going to do? Deny that a law that he signed is in fact the law? Well, let them try and break it and see what happens to them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I guess let me ask you this, though, about what's upcoming here regarding some of these hearings and the Comey effect and all that kind of thing. What is going on here? What do you think their end game is in digging into this stuff right now?
When I first learned that the Inspector General and every executive branch office, Veterans Affairs, State Department, Intelligence Community, Agriculture, Justice Department, they all have an Inspector General. The Inspector General is independent of that department, has his or her own FBI agents and lawyers that work for him or her, appointed by the President, confirmed by the Senate. So the Inspector General of the Justice Department is now going to investigate the manner in which Jim Comey and the FBI investigated Hillary Clinton. When I first heard this, I thought, hallelujah, it's about time the truth will be told. And then I thought, my God, are we going to relitigate this whole thing all over again about whether or not she ought to have been indicted? My gut tells me I want to know why Comey made the final decision rather than the Attorney General, why the Attorney General agreed to meet with Bill Clinton when he was under criminal investigation and still is the Clinton Foundation a fraud? Why Comey announcing that she wouldn't be indicted then laid out the one terrifically strong case against her? Why 11 days before Election Day, he on his own decides to reopen the investigation, and then 3 days before Election Day said, well, we shouldn't have reopened it, there was no there. I mean, I wrote a piece, you remember, because we talked about it, in which I called him J. Edgar Comey. Actually, that's bad for Hoover's image, because as bad as Hoover was, even he, as far as we know, never made public announcements trying to influence the outcome of elections. So where this goes, I don't know. What Donald Trump could stop this in a heartbeat. Donald Trump could say to Jim Comey, get a new job. And he could say to Bill and Hillary, I'm going to give you a pardon, but you must accept it. If they accept the pardon, if they publicly accept it, they'll be acknowledging that there is something to pardon. If they reject it, I'd come down on them like a ton of bricks and indict them for everything I could indict them for.
So do you think he's going to do that?
I don't know if he's going to do it. If he were to ask my opinion, if I were to be with him, I would express that opinion to him. In terms of Comey has to go. I mean, there's such little respect for the director of the FBI, even among FBI agents. The information that was leaked about Hillary's emails having been hacked by the Russians, the Chinese, and the Israelis, it was leaked during the Giants-Packers game 2 Sunday nights ago now, was leaked by the FBI agents who worked on the investigation of her, who are still furious at Comey that none of this was presented to a grand jury. You can only suppress the truth so long.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. So, but ultimately, right, once Donald Trump takes the oath of office on Friday, I mean, at 12:15, he could fire Comey, right?
Yes, he could. Yes, he absolutely could. He could do it with a phone call and then with a letter.
Right, and then at that point, then do you think there's something Comey might come out and say that he can't say now?
I don't know what Comey knows, which is a reason that Donald Trump probably would not fire him at 12:15, but would first have his Attorney General sworn in, and then have Comey's files deposited in the Attorney General's office so that the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, could have some folks that work for him go through those files, and they could inform President Trump what's in there. And there's a lot that has not been made public. The FBI rarely does anything verbally, so there must be emails and notes about who was at what meetings and who said, yes, indict her for this reason, no, don't indict her for that reason. And somebody's going to have to go through all that. So I doubt if President Trump would actually literally fire him at 12:15. I think it would take a few weeks to go through those files, which are probably enough paperwork to fill a tractor trailer.
Right, I'm sure. Well, it sounds to me like Donald Trump is at least curious and might enjoy looking through some of the files. I think he wants to see them. So
I think he does too.
Yeah.
Listen, Trump has intimated he might open up the Kennedy assassination files. Trump's in favor of transparency in a way that the elites and the establishment have never had to suffer through. They're accustomed to hiding their dirty laundry. Trump doesn't believe in that.
Right on. Judge Napolitano, great to talk to you. JudgeNap.com @JudgeNap. Have a great weekend, my friend.
All the best, my man.
You too.